Nivaleth. No sooner had Perry and Dusty stepped through the archway than Perry looked up. His stomach fluttered with amazement. Hundreds of houses hung above their heads. These were not just single homes built into the trees. Entire clusters of buildings rested among the branches, spread across different levels. Perry could read small shop signs, and just as Elex had told him, clothes were hanging from washing lines. But the most enchanting sight of all were the many small swaying bridges connecting every house and shop. Countless of them were decorated with little lanterns.
My goodness, it must look wonderful when they're all lit up at night,
Dusty remarked. Perry nodded, impressed. There were many people about, and the bridges rattled cheerfully whenever someone crossed them. Music drifted from an open window, and the air smelled of freshly baked bread and soup.
Come on, said Perry. Let's go up, climb, fly.
The two friends looked at each other questioningly. How were they supposed to get up there? They decided to walk a bit further. After all, the city looked impressive even from below, and surely they would find a way to reach the top. As they wandered among the massive tree trunks, Perry noticed that there were also a few small shops at ground level. They were built directly into the trunks. This had come about in a rather unusual way. 100 years ago, a massive beetle infestation had plagued the forest. The goblin gnawer beetles had eaten huge holes into the tree trunks, leaving them hollow inside. But instead of cutting the trees down, the inhabitants had simply turned the hollow spaces into shops, and so something unique had emerged from a difficult situation. Most of the shops sold forest mushrooms and handmade shoes and hats. Suddenly, Perry stopped and read the sign of a shop. Löwen's Feathercrest Boutique.
Do you think that's the Löwen Elex told us about?
Dusty asked.
That seems very likely.
Let's take a look inside and find out, Perry replied, and they headed toward the lovely shop. A small bell was attached to the door, chiming brightly as Perry and Dusty entered.
Oh, it smells wonderful in here,
Dusty remarked. The shop carried the scent of enchanted roses mixed with a hint of ink and lavender. The lighting was warm and softly dimmed. The shop itself was small. The walls were slightly uneven, traced with fine lines. Perry felt like a squirrel living in a tiny hollow inside a tree. Carefully arranged on shelves were notepads of every imaginable paper weight and texture. From rough, sturdy sheets to fine, almost translucent paper, there was everything an artist's heart could desire. Beautifully designed notebooks were lined up on a large table as if they were just waiting for someone to fill them with dreams. One of them featured a horse that looked exactly like Dusty, only without the mushroom-shaped haircut. There was also craft and gift paper in every color. Perry had never seen such a vibrantly patterned paper in his entire life. Of course, Löwen's Feathercrest Boutique also offered pens, so many that they were impossible to describe. Thick and thin pencils, marvelous colored pencils, and even exotic chalk that could usually only be found in the deep south. There was the perfect selection of materials for every art project. Some colored pencils could produce multiple colors at once and even glow in the dark. The fountain pens and quilts were all adorned with incredibly delicate details. Hanging from the ceiling was a large sheet of paper suspended by a thread bearing the words, "Discover your personal signature." Perry was utterly captivated by the shop. At the end of the room stood a small counter with a register and a stack of documents. Suddenly, a lady appeared there and smiled warmly at the two of them. Her hair was golden blonde and she wore a long lilac ball gown. Beneath the skirt peeked a petticoat trimmed with delicate lace. The light played gently across the fabric, making it shimmer between lilac and gold. With every movement, it rustled softly like candy wrappers. The jewelry she wore was equally unique. Large golden crescent-shaped earrings hung from her ears, from which delicate little stars dangled, adorned with pink gemstones. Perry guessed they might be rose quartz. The large star-shaped bracelets she wore, one on each wrist, matched perfectly. She had clearly put just as much care into choosing her shoes. Snow-white ballerina sandals decorated with stones adorned her feet. The soles were gilded, producing a soft clicking sound as she walked. Around her neck hung a sparkling necklace shaped like a planet, encircled by two intersecting rings. Both Perry and Dusty thought she looked like a princess of the stars. "Hello, and a warm welcome to Leuven's Feathercrest Boutique," she said, stepping out from behind her desk with a radiant smile. "Good day, my lady. Might we have the pleasure of speaking with Leuven?" Perry asked politely, stepping toward her. "Indeed, I am Leuven," she replied kindly. "That is most excellent. My friend Dusty and I are traveling across the land, and we had the pleasure of meeting your friend Elex. She sends you her warmest regards," Perry explained. Leuven beamed at the mention of Elex's name. "Oh, how wonderful it is to hear from her. You see, not so long ago we lived together in a house high up in the treetops. It was beautiful, and we were almost like sisters," she said. "That sounds like a truly deep friendship and a time full of wonderful memories. We too felt very much at home with Elex and, oh dear, please forgive me, I haven't even introduced myself. My name is Perry Armstrong," said Perry, bowing slightly, and placed a courteous kiss upon Leuven's hand.